Michael, first just on Zach Geacock, obviously missed the game last week through injury. What is the situation there?
Yeah, he's fallen on his shoulder in training. I was doing the shoulder thing. He's fallen on his shoulder in training. So, yeah, he's had a scan. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks, but he should be okay. Not too long.
And just to be clear, Jamie can play in the FA Cup because the rules have changed this year.
Yep. So he's obviously gone out on loan and played in the FA Cup. He can play for two teams, two clubs this year in the FA Cup. So he's good to be on the bench through league games and and the FA Cup next week.
Adam Jackson, where is he at?
Yeah, Adam's back into training, which is great news. We're just seeing how it reacts this week, but he should be in for selection for Saturday, which is, like I say, fantastic news.
Has everybody else come through unscathed?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all healthy. We're all ready to go. So no massive updates. You know, Jack is doing his running, and Dom Jeffries is into team training and building up his, if you like, fitness back and his body back. So we're in a good place with bodies. Got loads of players to select from, and they're training really well. So it's a really competitive group and an exciting group at the moment.
And I imagine that squad will have to be used, especially over the next 2 league games, 2 tough away games.
Yeah, I think we go into a week, if you like, if not a bit longer, and 4 or 5 games where lots of travel, definitely away. Different tactical problems that we need to look at, but also need to keep freshness in the team and in the bench. So I think these are the times where you need your depth to be able to rotate, but not just rotate for rotating's sake either. You know, if players are performing well and doing well, then they can go again. But yeah, it gives us lots of options. But this is the moments now as we get into, if you like, the winter and the heavier pitches and the long travel and getting back late in evenings and things like that, where you need to try and keep the group as fresh as possible. And that's why it's good that they're training well. They're all competitive and they're all chomping at the bit, if you like.
Does it help that in these 5 away games, yes, there is some longish trips in Leyton, Orient and Salford, but you've not got Plymouth and Exeter in there, some real long journeys? Yeah,
I think so. You know, like people talk about how far you travel and how that impacts performance. I think it must do. But there's no, you know, you get back from an evening game or a Saturday game and it's still 12 midnight on a Tuesday, if not later. So it still disrupts sleep. Because if you finish on a Tuesday, away at Barnsley, for example, and it's midnight before you get back, 2 in the morning before you get into your bed, then it still has an impact whether it's Barnsley or 3 o'clock from a later trip. So I think it's taking every game and every day as it comes, and seeing how we perform and how fresh we can keep the group going and keep pushing.
When it comes to the squad as a whole, I think you talked about it after the game on Saturday. There was an inner confidence. Have you noticed that growing?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some real confidence within the team. You know, there's the group's very confident as a whole. They're definitely, building and growing. I think the confidence comes not just through the results, but through the performances. So when you have good performances and you get probably a punch on the nose like we did against Exeter, that shows the confidence of the group to come back and get a good result, but a good performance against Stevenage, which keeps growing the confidence. And we're improving all the time. I think not only are we trying to get results and win games, we want to keep improving. I think every player, I can see it on the training pitch, even the ones that are not playing or even in the squad are improving. So I think when you're improving as an athlete and you think you're moving in the right direction, I think that gives you confidence. But you're right, I think results definitely help with that. But performance and results is definitely the afterburners on, if you like, in confidence.
On Leyton Orient, a lot of change for them over the summer in terms of their recruitment, but do they still have the similar style, the way they play?
Yeah, I think they're a very aggressive team with the ball. They can flip you down the sides, which is a real problem. I think they can dominate the ball, but more than anything, they can be fast and forward, and they can be direct with the ball as well. So they've got different ways of playing. I think I remember them last season not starting so well, and then they got into the final of the playoffs. So they're a good outfit. They're a good team, coached well. So we've got to be on it. They've beat some. They've got points against Stockport and Bolton at home this season. They beat Wigan. I went to the game live to watch them. Have a really good performance against Doncaster. So for sure we're going to have to be really on it to get some points out of this game. But I also think some of our strengths can really get after their weaknesses. So it's going to be a tough game. It's a tough place to go for any team. I think they probably haven't quite found their flow yet in terms of, especially away from home. But when they're at home, there can be a good force. But we want to go there and put a show on, and we want to go there and put a performance in that we think can get the 3 points.
And just looking a little further ahead, the Doncaster home game, a lot of fans have been eyeing that one up, thinking we've got a lot of trips away from home and worrying because it is international break. What is the situation with that game currently?
Yeah, I really appreciate that because it's a tough one for fans, isn't it, to commit, if you like, to buying tickets and those things, and we do appreciate that. First and foremost, every decision that we make is not taken lightly, whatever that would look like. But our intention at the moment is to keep the game on. That's our intention. But obviously things can change without, I know it's probably not the answer that everybody wants, but our intention at the moment is to keep that game on for a few reasons. One, we think we can manage the international players and the group. We've got to look at certain situations with cards and sending offs and injuries, so that's the thing that can change it a little bit. But we also know it's important that we've been on the right road for 5 games, and that's our next home game, and we really want to get our home game on. And it's a Saturday, so we want the place bouncing because it has a really positive effect on our performance, we believe. So it's slightly different to an away game. We want to try the best we can to get it on. But there is a slight asterisk and a slight star at the bottom, with a small print, because between now and then anything can happen. So yeah, that's our intention, but we'll have to see as we get closer.
You've worked in the Championship and Premier League where games are automatically not scheduled in for international weeks, and I know you've talked about this for League One. Do you think we have to get to a stage now where those weekends are blocked off without any fixtures, and then it's up to clubs if they wish to move a fixture to that date, they can do, but actually it's a blank weekend?
Yeah, I can see both sides of the coin really, but I think just commit to one. So either everybody has to play or everybody doesn't have to play. I think the situation where some are playing and some are not puts the league into a little bit disrepute, if you like, in terms of people having an advantage with a game in hand, people don't, you've got to play it with, or you've got your best 2 players missing, so you have to play with that. I just think commit to one way. I think all players and staff would probably like a weekend off sometimes. So yeah, that would probably be my 51% favour. But I also see the other side of it where, fans want to keep it going. You could have some good gates in international breaks for some of the clubs. So I just think we need to commit to one way in League One. I know the Championship obviously have the international break, but one or the other has to happen sooner rather than later for me. Because I just don't see how you can have some clubs playing and some not, because the integrity of the league for me is important.